Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Secretary, thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Allegheny County, yes?
Yes.
I'm right next to you in Armstrong, so we have some common interests. I noticed that your funding has been increased a gross amount of $78 million over the previous year. That's about a 38% increase. Am I pretty close?
Yes, that's right on.
I noticed within those lines, you had identified energy development. I'm real curious as to what you're calling energy development.
I think one of the issues that we've looked at, one of the things we looked at is an economic growth fund to fund programs that would help with energy development in a variety of different ways.
I don't think you're going to bring back the coal-fired plants. What kind of energy development are we talking about here?
So what we're looking at, Representative, are cogeneration plants, wind power, green agriculture, Pennsylvania Energy Development Fund, which would help advance clean, advanced energy technology services and funds, last mile natural gas distribution lines to be able to provide opportunities to bring natural gas to business communities and to industrial parks and areas like that. The potential for solar investment, helping to recapitalize the Pennsylvania Sunshine Program, and energy efficiency for small businesses and local governments, which is something that we utilized in Allegheny County to be able to help small businesses and governments do a much better job of reducing their energy costs and saving tax dollars. I'm
familiar with some of those. Green rooftops is a very, very popular and successful program. So is geothermal heating. Here's my question. I've been on the Energy Committee, I don't know if anybody else here is, I think there probably are, for 10 years. And I was here the first time we ran windmills and solar. I don't know that that's the wisest investment, given our past track history here. I believe Gamesa, who was our big windmill builder, has left Johnstown. The solar panel makers of the Northeast are still around, not nearly as vibrant as they were. But being an Allegheny County boy, I'm sure you've heard KDKA and DV and all the local radio stations. We actually get 2 days less every year of sunshine than Seattle does. Not so sure solar is the best way to go. Now, where I'm going with this, our friend and colleague from Forest County, Representative Kathy Rapp, last year successfully ran language to do an efficiency study on what our cost-benefit analysis would be for what we invested in windmills and what we invested in solar versus what we're getting back from it. I would urge you, before we dive in head first, to wait for that study to come out. Just more knowledge is more power. And I promised, Chairman, I'd go short today. Let me make sure I'm understanding this. Pipelining to get our reservoirs to market is within your budget, correct?
That's part of it, right.
We have, our reservoirs are full. I live in the gas patch. We have Marcellus, Utica, the Upper Devonians, the whole thing. They're going to be drilling us for a couple hundred years. Given that, it's sort of well accepted, having moving in and out of that industry, talking to them quite often, because most of them do drill in Armstrong County, that this severance tax is going to drive them to Ohio, and in fact, they've already started moving their drilling rigs. There's only 4 left in the state, and I would have to check with the gentleman from Muncie. I believe we topped out in the 20s. They're now in Ohio. They're anticipating the severance tax. Are you telling me we're going to move away from something that generated over $2 billion in personal income taxes, because that's a fallacy. People think we didn't get the industry. We actually taxed the royalties people collected on the back end and generated about $2 billion. That number is expected to fall. So I'm kind of stuck in the mud here. This isn't making sense to me. We're going to tax an industry that is driving pipe building for our steel workers and nearly every other heavy industry in Western Pennsylvania. Am I getting this the way it's intended?
I think part of that, and that's going to be a great discussion going forward. I understand. Part of this, I think, is the governor is proposing a comprehensive package of tax cuts and also some tax increases. And I think the one thing that we're looking at is trying to level the playing field with some of the proposals that are out there right now. And also trying to provide for opportunities for other things that we need to grow the middle class and also increase business activity. When you look at the corporate net income tax, for example, and the reductions that are proposed there, I've been involved in discussions directly with companies and site selection consultants that look at that, and that is something where Pennsylvania doesn't even make the short list for corporate relocations. Pennsylvania sometimes doesn't even make the short list for opportunities for businesses in Pennsylvania to grow because of the 9.99% corporate net income tax. That has to come down. Same thing with the capital stock and franchise tax, which I think the governor is proposing to do that. And when you look at some of the other opportunities and the other things, we're looking at advancement of all manufacturing throughout Pennsylvania, including the natural gas industry. And we think by some of the other things that we're looking at, providing a program for, like I had said, like I'd mentioned, last mile natural gas pipelines to bring that natural gas to users of that natural gas, and look at other pipeline construction. We think that when you look at those opportunities as a whole, Pennsylvania will do much better.
Thank you. Just one question, if you could give me the information later. By line item, could you please identify how much you're identifying for alternative energy versus how much you're identifying for pipelines?
Sure, we'll get you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman.